Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and welcome to a new season of Adventures in Compliance. In this season, we are going to review the short stories which appeared in the Strand magazine from July 1891 to June 1892 and were collected in the book The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Over the next 12 episodes, I will be reviewing each story and mine them for leadership, compliance, and ethical lessons. Today, we take a look at the Beryl Coronet, which appeared in the Strand magazine in May of 1892, and which formed the basis of the first novel of Sherlock Holmes, entitled, appropriately, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. We review the storyline, discuss the story, and then draw out compliance lessons learned from the Beryl Coronet. In this story, a banker makes a loan of £50,000, equivalent to $7.5 million today, to a socially prominent client who leaves a Beryl Coronet, one of the most valuable public possessions in existence, as collateral. Holder feels that he must not leave this rare and precious piece of jewelry in his personal safe at the bank, so he takes it home with him to lock it up there. He is awakened in the night by a noise and enters his dressing room and is horrified to see his son Arthur with the coronet in his hands, apparently trying to bend it. Holder's niece, Mary, comes at the sound of all the shouting and sees the damaged coronet and faints dead away. 3 beryls are missing from it, and Mr. Holder travels to Holmes to agree to take the case. The case against Arthur seems damning, yet Holmes is not convinced of his guilt. Why is Arthur refusing to give a statement of any kind? How could Arthur have broken the coronet, which even Holmes cannot do, without making any noise? Could other people in the household be involved, such as servants, or even Mary? Could some visitor, such as the maiden's wooden-legged suitor or Arthur's rakish friend, Sir George Burnwell, have something to do with what happened to the coronet? The failure to resolve the case will result in Mr. Holder's dishonor and a national scandal. Holmes sets about not only reviewing the details that he learns from Holder, but also examining the footprints in the snow outside. Eventually, Holmes solves the mystery, and Holder is flabbergasted to find that the niece was in league with 2 notorious criminals, although apparently she was unaware of their character. The 2 of them escape justice, however, as Holmes is convinced they will receive their punishment in due time. Arthur's motive in allowing his father to think he was the thief was that he was in love with his cousin Mary and saw her pass the coronet to Burnwell outside. The coronet was broken when Arthur struggled to wrench it from Burnwell's grasp. Holmes regains the jewels after threatening Sir George at gunpoint with an offer of £1,000 for each beryl. Burnwell is shocked at Holmes' offer. He had already sold them to a fence for £600. With the additional offer of no prosecution, Holmes buys the beryls from the fence for £3,000 and receives $4,000 in compensation, but sternly scolds Holder that he owes his son an apology for erroneous seeming that Arthur had stolen the coronet. Today we have compliance lessons learned from the story of the Beryl Coronet. First of all, and a most basic one, it's due diligence. The plot revolves around a precious coronet which is partially stolen. The owner, Mr. Holder, fails to exercise due diligence in securing the coronet, leading to the theft. This highlights the importance of thorough risk assessment and due diligence compliance, particularly regarding asset security. I would also say that Mary's knowledge of Burnwell was very limited, as she did very little due diligence on her beloved, as he was clearly a criminal. Number 2, confidentiality. The coronet is a state secret. Its value is immense, and it is given to Holder to be used as security against a loan. This underscores the importance of safeguarding sensitive or proprietary information and the responsibility individuals and organizations have in maintaining confidentiality. I would simply add, never take a valuable to your home safe. Leave it at the company's safe. Number 3, insider threat. This theft is carried out by a trusted individual within the household. This reflects real-world scenarios where an individual within an organization pose perhaps the greatest risk. It could be on the sales side, but think about cybersecurity, where an innocent response to a phishing attack can lead to disaster. It's crucial to establish policies and procedures and risk management systems that can detect and prevent insider threats, whether they're of the fraud nature or training regarding to cybersecurity. Procedural compliance, next. Holder makes an immediate decision to approach Holmes when the theft is discovered. This can be related to procedural compliance steps, which should be followed when a breach or issue is detected within an organization, and notifying the relevant authorities or consulting professionals to handle the situation. You should also game out your response to cyber attacks so that you're ready and you know who to call, when to call, how to call when such a breach occurs. Next up, trust and transparency. The conclusion of the story reveals a complex web of familiar relationships and a severe lack of trust and transparency within the Holder household. This emphasizes the significance of fostering a culture of openness, trust, and transparency within an organization. Only through honest communication and transparency can you prevent misunderstandings and miscommunication, which might lead to compliance violations. And finally, unintended consequences. The impulsiveness and rash decisions of the characters in this story lead to unintended consequences, such as Arthur's unjust imprisonment, obviously his father's sentencing him or blaming him as well. This is a reminder that organizations must think through the potential outcomes of their actions, especially with regards to compliance and regulatory matters, to avoid not only negative impacts, but procedural and equally important reputational issues from devaluing the corporation, destroying trust and credibility, and your overall corporate brand. This is Tom Fox again. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Adventures in Compliance. I hope you'll join me again next week, where we take up the adventure of the Copper Beaches, one of my personal favorites. If you've enjoyed this episode, I hope you'll subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever great podcasts are listened to. If you are a lover of Sherlock Holmes and would like to come on an upcoming podcast and talk about your favorite short story with me, I'd love to have you. As you could probably tell, I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, and I find a lot of compliance lessons learned in the Sherlock Holmes oeuvre. Adventures in Compliance is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.